Oh, good morning. I'm Mrs. Camoys Stonor, 90 birthday already. And we're sending somebody down this morning for an estimate. Nobody's arrived. Southwest 65B due. Is it a man called Nigel? That wasn't what I was told. I was told it's going around this side of 12, but never mind. Between 11 and 2. All right. Well, I'll wait in hopes. Thank you very much. Thank you. That's for the lodger. Casually broke both the bathroom window and the frame. This is going to come out about £900. He's not going to pay. So I will now continue my work. I have an ambassador coming to stay this evening, very important ambassador. So I'm making fruit juice here, homemade, and rather delicious mango and grape. See, mango and grape fruit salad. And in the fridge, I have a large pot of homemade yogurt. And it would be very nice to have him here. He's a part of the Catholic setup here. And so I'm looking forward to doing that. And meanwhile, I'm thinking very much about my tragic aunt, Nadine, as always. I fetched a folder, one minute. I fetched a folder from my rather crowded bedroom, which I'm preparing for the eye operation. As I should be out of action for 3 weeks, it appears. So here in the box room.
Partly because it actually speaks to the people, the type of people who are really, I think, very creatively making changes in the city. Artists.
Cousin Francis Stoney's ravishing collection, now at Stone Park. Nadine as a bridesmaid. Let's see if I can get it more clearly for you. Nadine herself, that's it. Nadine in July the 14th, 1938, she is here. And there's my mother, Jeanne, the cat that caught the cream, and poor Papa. This was a review of my book, first memoir. And this is the house where I grew up, more or less, till I was 18 and then expelled. There again. Poor Nadine. To have a sister-in-law like that must have been pretty painful. And she was a sweet and gentle, put-upon woman with a very happy marriage, which was all but destroyed. Let's see what else we have. And here's how my mother sent me away to school just. She made application on the 29th of May 1950, having murdered my Aunt Julia and stolen all her jewellery on the 3rd of February. So that's March, April, May. 3 months more or less. Julia Maria Cristina Stonor. Date of birth 19th of April 1939. Previous school, governess at hand. That was probably poor Mademoiselle Priest, who was an Austrian Jewish intellectual teacher and refugee who ran away. Where was I christened? Brompton Oratory, sacraments received, confession and communion. Name and address of a referee, financial. Barclays Bank, Cavendish Square, W1, where I think the bank manager was a very glamorous Morris Buxton. Name of infections, blah blah, chicken pox, measles, mumps, something I can't read. Something to do with vaccinations, I think. Extra subjects to be taken, piano. Any additional information which may be helpful. Sensitive character, very reserved. Then there's a big profession, designation or profession of father, Sherman, which indeed he was a farmer, Address, Stonor Park, Henley-on-Thames, telephone number WT 300. I agree to abide by the regulations. Signed, Jeanne Stourton, on 29th of May, 1939. More documents relating to Nadine's tragic death and will. Because I protested her will. Sadly, she was buried against her will of Stonor. And somewhere in here, that's a police file. Let me see, where did I put it? We pause for a moment while I have a thorough look for the will. But anyway, the will here. Yeah. This is the will, which I finally managed to retrieve on the 13th of May, 2005. This is Nadine's will. And she has requested specifically that she be buried next door to her deeply loved and loving husband in the family grave in Surrey, Tanbridge. Within this will are contained the settlement of my American grandmother, which somehow has been allowed to pass me by, albeit I'm named in the original settlement. So I have challenged this, and I will challenge it again through the Solicitor's Regulation Authority, because my tragic Aunt Nadine, whom I was not allowed to see for many, many years, died in deep dementia. Sadly, to my mind, she did not go back to live at Stonor Park. She was my father's favourite sister, and I think I have in my landlady's wallet somewhere one of the letters I wrote to her. Well, if I can find it for the moment. Begging her to see me, begging for reconciliation, because I have no idea why she was not allowed to see me. It's not that. I'll find it in due course. Anyway, it's something remains very pertinent. And in 1976, Nadine was in Kenya from 1940 to 1946, I think, when she and her husband returned, he being an army officer. So I didn't meet her, I think, until I was 7 or 8. However, she was made to sign a statement after my father died, saying that she'd known us all for 50 years, my generation, which sadly to say was not true. But thereafter she was put in an impossible position, which is why I challenged this, to try and bring her nice character back to life and to exonerate her from the charges that my mother laid at her feet, etc., etc. Well, my good friends, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Catholics, here is the gravestone of my tragic Aunt Nadine. It's very strange because it doesn't mention her maiden name, Stonor. It doesn't mention that my father that she was a devoted sister to my father, Sherman Stonor, 6th Baron Camoys. It says, truthfully, the beloved wife of Lieutenant Colonel Charles Tom Pepys. It says then, most curiously, daughter of 5th Baron Camoys and Mildred. Well, anyone looking at that will wonder if Mildred was the maid, as opposed to daughter of 5th Baron Camoys and his wife, Mildred Camoys. Devoted aunt, it doesn't say to whom she was devoted aunt. It's the most strange, rather bizarre, and deeply sad memento mori to the aunt who was so rich and so kind and so nice, and who was forced by my mother, perhaps most of all, into perjuring herself when she signed a declaration for the peerage after my father's sad death in 1976. She put herself into a cleft stick with a solicitor in battle very near the beautiful house which she had been forced to sell. The fact was that she was not here during the first part of my parents' marriage, and indeed my father was away frequently, not only at Dunkirk, but other military designations before he had a nervous breakdown. So, once Nadine had given in to perjury, she became easily blackmailed. And I never knew at the time, because I was terribly frightened of the violence against me, that her will stipulated that she should be cremated and buried next door to her adored, incredibly nice husband, Tom. Just makes me very, very sad. This is a letter to Nadine Stoner Peppers, my beloved, and I mean beloved, much maligned and terrified aunt, under huge pressure of blackmail. 1988, the 28th of November 1988. My dear Aunt Nadine, I've enclosed a poem by J. Russell Lowell to try and get through to her. The poem, is what I try to abide by. I hope I show the loyalty, or is that? I hope I show the my own writing and Christianity in as generous a way as possible, as did poor Papa, your brother Sherman. I look forward to meeting you at Paddington, 9:55 a.m. on this Thursday. You may know it is the feast of Edmund Campion, who had a hiding hole at Stonor, the Jesuit, who was executed by Queen Elizabeth I. So perhaps it is an auspicious date. What I was trying to do by showing her this poem was to remove all the falsehood, to renew our relationship, which had been precious to me, especially when I was a young woman in Newport, Rhode Island in 1961, 1962, when she and my late uncle were so incredibly sweet and kind to me. But she had been prevented for years, forbidden to see me. Meanwhile, after Uncle Tom's death, Nadine fell in love with her teddy bear, which I found extremely tragic and very poignant. Even before that, I have a letter written by me to my mother on August the 24th, 1978, when she was yet again suing me. I know that Nadine did not support this. She did come and see me here, and she threatened me with prison because she knew by 1988 that she could be had up for perjury for the documents she produced to the House of Lords, and that could lose her very precious marriage to Uncle Tom. So that's a very sad, as yet unresolved story. Poor Pamela Sophia Nadine. So I end for the moment, and I look forward to my next instalment with you all. I hope you enjoy it. There is some black comedy despite the tragedy.